Hi, Happy New Year. Welcome to MindShifters Radio. Today
Happy New
is
Year.
Thursday. Yeah. Today is Thursday, January the 1st, 2026. Welcome, Michael.
New day, a new year, a new beginning. Great lesson, The Course of Miracles, called The New Beginning. But that's not what I'm going to start with today. I'll actually just start with the question of how's everybody doing? And has anybody got anything to offer, anything to report? Questions, thoughts, answers, ideas? Hit that mute button, unmute yourself, and say hello if you have something to share. Otherwise, I'm going to go in a direction today. Welcome, Susan B.
Thank you. Happy
Delighted
New
you're
Year.
here. Happy New Year. How are you doing? How's your hip doing?
Hip is good. I have a sore knee on that side because I've been limping for so long that I think I hurt my knee. I told you that yesterday. So
Yeah, a
I'm
little bit of
using a cane to
good
balance
idea.
things
Nothing like
out.
support.
Yeah. Anyway,
You
all
get
is
through and out
well.
the other side. Awesome.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm rock and roll.
Good.
We had dinner with family last night. We're in bed by 10:30. I said to
Well,
Jeannie, it was a time I'd say, oh, we need to watch the ball drop. It's like, why would I want to stay up and watch a silly ass ball drop?
right. Same here. Well, that's a very sane and reasonable time to go to bed.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that.
Yep.
So does anyone have anything exciting to report? Share? Question? Thought?
Oh, how many are here? Oh, quite a group.
Yeah, we're here.
Yay.
We are rock and roll. And I'm going to step into the workshop on creating consciously, which I have not taught for I don't know how many years, but I thought that it'd be a good way to start the new year to remind us that we are creators and step in or take a look at a little bit about what experts have to say about this creative process and how it all fits together. So that's my plan, unless somebody has another idea, and I'm wide open.
I would love that. And before you start, I wanted to just share and ask, which I know the answer already. I was talking to my daughter, Alex, the other day, and she is still in a decision process, but is open to coming on the show. We had a development. We keep having these points of rupture that I had kind of shared where I go numb and she is upset, and it's like a rupture that doesn't get resolved, but it's not escalating either. But it escalates. No, it doesn't escalate. It repeats itself.
Oh, there's a book about that. I wrote it. Man, it's fun. Sometimes we'll get people who call looking for the book, and I understand you have this book. Why are they doing this to me again?
Right.
Or why am I doing this to myself again?
That's right. And so what we were talking about, Alex and I, was we had another, point of tension, conflict. And it's beautiful because I'm seeing a new development where she's, we were having this conversation. I was so proud. I just said, this is really hard. Like, I want to connect and I'm feeling sad because, when I reach for you to connect, whether it's showing you something on Facebook or something cool that I'm excited to share with you, and I said, and then you get really big, intense feelings. And I'm trying to hold you in that. It's really hard for me. I'm just trying to connect, and like she'll just erupt all of a sudden over, I hate AI, you know how much I hate AI, and like these big triggers. And it's like, I'm confused. I'm just showing this beautiful moss floor that's been, epoxied in someone's house, and she's super heated with these big emotions. And it's these types of things that happen. And I just said, like, I don't know how to find my way through this. But
I
if
know,
you're,
I know, I know.
I know you do. Okay. Well, but what was cool that I'd love to say is that I just said to her, like, I'm really struggling because I can't wait for the responsibility communication part, because I'm trying so hard to, I feel, and just own my own, but I'm still feeling these subtle projections. But I just said to her, like, I really want to connect, and I find it really difficult because when you get emotions, they're so intense and loud. And, and I feel like you're not trying to project them at me, but they're just so big and unexpected. And she broke down and just said, Mom, these are all the feelings I never got to feel as a kid. Of course they're big. And I was like, oh, of course they're big. You're right. And so we hugged, and it was like, I don't know where to go from here. And she doesn't know where to go from here. So she is hopefully willing to come on the show, and any direction from you would be so appreciated.
Yeah, you're sure now that it'll be appreciated.
I'm pretty sure if I'm mad,
Okay,
I'll definitely let you know.
okay. Well, then I'm going to give you my first suggestion. My first suggestion is that you recognize the blame game that you play.
Okay.
And you put an end to it. If you go back and listen to what you just said, the whole thing was couched in blame.
Okay.
So you started out with, I'm sad.
Okay.
And then you went into because, and then the story was about her big feelings.
Yeah.
And you're not sad because of her big feelings. My offering is you're sad because there's sadness in you. And when you can stop languaging that you're sad because of what she does, because she doesn't receive it, or she's got big feelings, or all those things, then you're going to take the pressure off of her of having to be responsible for Mom's reality.
Okay.
So shifting into, and you might want to jump forward in the codependence independence communication practicum and go into the the communication section of those videos.
Okay.
And go through that responsibility communication process and recognizing that, when I have a structure generated by my mind, in this case, sadness was the one you mentioned.
Okay.
I have sadness because I have brain cells that generate sadness in me. When I language that what my brain is generating is about you, and that's basically the whole game of the culture is, we were all issued very, very early, like by the age of 4, membership cards in the One World Universal Religion of Blame. And we were taught the language of blame. See, I'm sad because of what you did. And my offering is you're not sad because of what she did. You're sad because there's sadness in you. And you have thoughts that generate this emotion for you of sadness.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think or speak as though you're sad because of what she's doing, you cut yourself off from being able to heal your sadness.
Okay.
When you can shift into and step into, like, the best thing you can do for her now is unmodel the blame language that you taught her as a kid, that all of us were taught as kids. Unmodel that and model what responsibility means. And that would look more like, sweetheart, when I want to show you something and you have these big emotions come up, I have a problem. I have an issue. I would love support and healing, and you know, it's something I need to work through, but I have all this sadness come up in me. And I'm not even sure what thoughts are at the root of it or what I need to forgive, but I'm realizing that that sadness is about me. It's not about what you do, it's mine. And when you forgive as to your sadness, when you can take responsibility for and forgive as to your sadness, then that piece of conversation disappears. And all of a sudden, your daughter, who, based on that thought, has at least at some point in her life felt like she's to blame for what's going on for mom,
Mm-hmm.
and start to follow the new modeling of, oh, so let's see, if I'm not to blame for mom's feelings, like here she is owning them and working through them and freeing herself of them, that means that I can stop blaming mom for my feelings, and I can start owning them, and I can start working through them.
Okay.
But the thing is, we can't throw away what we believe belongs to somebody else because we think it belongs to somebody else. We've been taught to language it, so our BS, our belief system, holds that this really belongs to someone else, and therefore I'm stuck with it.
Okay.
So I suggest that, when we're finished, go back and when Jeannie gets the video uploaded to YouTube, go back and give a listen. Just really carefully hear your language,
Mm-hmm.
and then recognize that that's the language of blame.
Okay. Well, and that's what I meant. Like, I can still feel these currents of blame or of projection, but
Right.
I'm really struggling. Like, as it comes out of my mouth, it's happened a few times over the holidays with my kids, and I'm like, I feel the energy of it that
Right.
and I see their actions of trying to like take care of me after, and I'm like, okay, it's happening again. I just don't know exactly what it is. So that actually helps give me way more clarity of how it's one thing to learn it, but for me, it's the application in real time that is the
Yes.
gold for me. So I'm so willing, but it just is confusing in the moment when everything's kind of heated and I'm trying to sort it all out in my head. So that really helps. And my kids are super flexible. Like, I can go to them and say, look, I see I've been doing this. I'm going to change this up. Here's how it's going to look. Like, they're good that way. I just need to know what I'm doing. And so thank you. That definitely gives me more direction forward.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
It's a big piece of work to do in this culture, especially when all I have to do is have this little tiny blame thought. You made me sad. And once I do that, what happens is the mind energy with which I create sadness, the mind energy that reflects as sadness in me, I'm now cut off from. Remember, our definition of denial is when I think or speak as though something outside of me is a cause of what's moving inside of me. So I'm really sad because of what you did. I just said to my mind, yeah, I've been through this sadness 87 different times with 42 different people. And I realize I'm the only one who was every time, but I don't want to see one damn bit of evidence that I'm responsible for my sadness. You keep that hidden as far away from me as you possibly can. And the mind goes, okay, now I will dissociate it from you. I will put this in a place where you will never find it unless you learn to forgive. And then once you realize that you've dissociated from the cause of that, the next step that makes it the mind, and this is why to heal we got to be out of our minds, the mind makes it so convincing, is because that energy of sadness, which I've hidden from myself, and by hiding it from myself, I've pressed it down. I put energy into it. I don't know if you've heard me use the example of, let's imagine I've got a 3-foot diameter spring that's 3 feet tall sitting over there on the floor. That spring can't do anything sitting there on the floor. But if I go over and push it down and lock it, and I push it down again and lock it, and I push it down again and again and again, and I get 3 or 4 big people to come and help me push it down, what happens when I finally let the lock loose? It's loaded with this potential energy that then breaks loose. Every time I deny, I push that which I've dissociated from down into a deeper place inside of me, and I set up a literal, measurable, high energy wave reflecting the amplitude of the stored energy in that which I've dissociated from. And guess who's going to show up? And somebody may come in, we've all done this. I've done this. We go into somebody's space totally convinced to be loving, caring, nurturing. And all of a sudden, we find ourselves functioning like a mad banshee. What happened? Well, this person had pushed this big feeling down in themselves so much through denial and dissociation, and it was such a strong energy field. I walked into it and bang, since I had the matching bag of garbage, I had the mad banshee that matches it. Through resonance, it activates my mad banshee, and all of a sudden, I, the person who is committed to being so loving and nurturing, all of a sudden am functioning out of my mad banshee. Now, some people will hear me say that, and they'll say, yeah, see there, Michael even said it. You're to blame for what's going on for me. It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if someone has a mad banshee, they need to take responsibility for it. And when we walk into somebody's space who's got the match to our mad banshee, it's going to resonate, it's going to activate it. And unless we're really conscious, it's going to tend to take over. Once that takes over, a person literally sees in their mind, like once this person comes into the field of what I'm in denial of and plays off of my denial, plays off of that energy, they will literally do the behavior that will resonate what I've dissociated from. But I've dissociated from it, so I can never see it directly again until I undo that dissociation through forgiveness. I'll never see that energy directly again. But here's what will happen. The person who shows up and bounces off of it and plays out the behavior resonates that dissociated content in me. I do not allow my mind to show it to me directly, so now I build a picture of them out of my dissociated content. And literally, I see a body, I call them. Now, that body is an image. There's no such thing as a body anywhere in the world, but that body is an image painted on the inside of my eyeballs that I think is really out there. But it's made up of the very energy I've dissociated from. So now I have this reinforced evidence that it really is about them because, look, I can see it's theirs. I mean, the mind is so tricky in this game of denial, dissociation. And then when that person plays off of my dissociated content, resonates that content, I take that content and I use it to build my brain's image of them. That's called projection. So now the content I've dissociated from is what makes up my mind's image of them. So I project. And, the culture generally teaches projection as taking something that's inside of me and putting it outside of me. That's not projection, that's externalization. Projection is when I take something I've dissociated from in me that's resonated or activated by somebody and I make pictures of them out of it. That's projection. It's painted on the inside of my eyeballs. And so I've got all the evidence I need because I can see that it's theirs. And then I pretend that what's painted on the inside of my eyeballs is actually out there, so I externalize it. Now I believe the problem's out there. The idea is, and it can be tremendously painful, because if there's a particular issue that I have dissociated from over and over, maybe it's been going on in my bloodline for 10 generations, not just my life, but I learned it from my genes and from my family environment. So the energy and the pain and the trauma of it is so big, so big. And when I collapse the projection, I have to go back into it. And this is why the breath, why in the reality management worksheet, the reminders there so often to breathe, because that's where the resolution occurs. But when I cancel the goal that keeps this projection going, here I am. I'm in pain. I am in relationship with my pain, but I'm in relationship with my pain through my brain's image of somebody else, thinking it really is theirs. Coming back into direct relationship with my pain is a big deal. It's a big thing to work through. So taking the middleman out or the middlewoman out by canceling the goal, collapsing the projection on them, and when I collapse my reality, my 9-bit picture of them back into its source, I'm right back now to the mind energy that maybe has been going on for generations in my bloodline of this sadness, grief, loss, who knows how big it is. And as I breathe into it, I'm now back in, rather than the indirect relationship with it, of seeing it in my brain's image of them, I have to come into direct relationship with it, owning it. And that's where it's so important to keep the breath moving, because it's the breath that diffuses, that weakens, that forgives, that removes that energy. But if I touch into it and hold my breath, I just lock it down on another deeper level. So it's a big deal to take that level of responsibility. And being aware, you mentioned the idea of confusion, being aware that confusion is a very important and necessary part of the process. And confusion, I use an example of, I've got a whiteboard here and I shine a red light on it and a blue light and a green light. And everybody looks and they go, oh, there's red and there's blue and there's green. And there are 3 separate circles on the board. Now, scientifically, we know there's no such thing as red, blue, and green. They're just different frequencies, and the brain interprets them as colors. That's why some people are colorblind. They interpret this frequency differently than other people do. But I see the distinct pattern of red, blue, and green. They're each different frequencies. If I take those 3 lights and shine them on one spot on the board, what I'm going to end up is a mix of those 3 frequencies of red, blue, and green. I'm going to get this muddy, multicolored, confused mess, because those energies are additive and subtractive. They add to each other. They double in some places where the frequencies match, and where the frequencies conflict, they cancel each other. So I get this confusion. And that's the exact same thing that happens when I take something I've dissociated from. I'm bringing truth in. I'm starting to find the truth. Oh, I've been through this 87 different times with 42 different people. I'm the only one that was there. This is mine. And up comes my mind with a picture of this belonging to somebody else. And those 2 energies mix, and the result is confusion. That's the place to breathe and recognize that now the energetic patterns I've dissociated from, I need to blow off. I need to liberate myself from. And when I'm touching into any given emotion, sadness, grief, rage, hate, fear, whatever it is, there will tend to be links to other emotions as well. So I may think, well, okay, so I'm going to just clean up this sadness, but my sadness relates to my fear, and my sadness relates to my grief, and my sadness relates to my hatred. So now all of a sudden, I've got this sadness that I'm starting to see and come into direct relationship. I've got this hatred, I've got this fear, I've got this grief, and there's no way to figure that out. But that's where the reminder to breathe is such a key, is so important, because that's the resolver of confusion and conflict, is the breath. And of course, if I'm doing that, and I'm doing my own work, and then somebody else with big feelings starts doing their work, well, all of a sudden we've got a doubling of the confusion and the crazy time. And that's where, and it might be a good thing to do. I don't know if you've introduced her to the commitment, to bring the commitment into the conversation in just a simple way of recognizing, I realize that I've functioned in some ways that aren't so great and aren't so healthy. So here's where I'm heading. I'm going to live this. This is what I'm learning to live as. And as you bring that in, and those conflicting, confusing energies start to come up, and like, who can figure this out? And the willingness to breathe is there, and to step into, rather than getting lost in the confused, dissociated thought disorders that are starting to surface and unravel. I can turn to, oh yeah, I have a commitment to treat you lovingly, gently, and with respect. In my thoughts, yeah, I got this hate thought down here, and I could easily think this hate thought to you, but I've got a commitment to do something different. And so in the presence of the breath and that commitment, those things just start to become unraveled and clarity comes. You just have to keep pouring in truth and breath to the container. So holding a space for that, and I got your willingness and your goodwill and the level of commitment you've got to shifting into true being is awesome, and we're here to hold a space for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it was sweet to connect with your daughter, and look forward to more conversations and more things opening in the future. And who could have thought it would ever involve all of that? But that's what our conflicts and our resolution and our healing involves, and that's what it takes. So being with you and holding a space for it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it definitely does. And I feel like this is a big period of rewiring. I mean, you talk about collectively on the planet, and then also all the trainings that I've had through being a coach and communication. And it is still healthier versions of what my training was, but it still holds projection and handing over responsibility. So it's definitely a big shift for me.
Yeah, for all of us.
Yeah.
It's I mean, in a state of willingness, so much of it can happen in an instant. And of course, we live in a culture that has this, well, I want an instant fix for everything. Don't you have a pill for that? And it's like, well, no, this one takes breathing and process, takes each one of us doing our work. So holding a space and joining you and doing that work and carrying it into your family. Delighted. Miss Terry, how are you, young lady? Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you. I do so appreciate everything that's been talked about today. And I want to ask a question about a situation that recently occurred. And I'm fully aware of, I think I'm fully aware, I'm as aware as I can
Good
be.
catch.
I'm aware as I can be of the work that I need to do around this issue. So I'll just start with the seeing, the seen, and the seer are all the same thing. I had a situation with my mother-in-law, and what I would like to know is, what is my part in the moment when she is trying to be helpful, because the thought is, I don't want to be a bother. So I don't want to be a bother. So I'll try to be helpful with this solution. And it ends up being more of a bother.
Hmm.
So in the moment when, and this happens so frequently, and
So let's stop right there.
okay,
You just gave the answer. And the answer was the projection. It is a bother. So my offering is nothing in all of eternity has ever bothered you or me or anybody else. However, if I have a reality called bother in my mind, I can make it about you. I can make it about Harry. I can make it about Bill, Mary. I can make it about the ant crawling on my window of my car. I can make it about anything. So remember this, it's so subtle the way it sneaks into our language and into our culture because it's so all pervasive. So your mother-in-law has never bothered you in any way, shape, or form. However, having realities, structures in your mind of bother, maybe formed from when you were 3 and your mother said, it's such a bother when you, if you just stop and let me do that, just go to your room and let me do this. Oh, bother. And that 3-year-old bother might be what needs to be forgiven today with your mother-in-law. And your mother-in-law comes in playing the role of the 3-year-old. I don't want to be a bother, which probably means she's going to be somewhat clumsy and bring up your bother. And when you forgive as to the bother that comes up, gee, it'd be easier for me to just do it myself instead of you getting that spoon. And then you put the spoon in, it was a wrong spoon. And now that's, more dishes to do. That's the place to stop and go, oh, my bother is up. What's the goal I have for my mother-in-law? Well, if she could just stop and think, well, no, what's the real goal you've got for her? So think about it. In the situation you're talking about, if you could have, in the middle of that muddle, if you could have explained to your mother-in-law exactly what the perfect thing would be for her to do to get the perfect outcome, what would it have been?
are you asking me to answer that question?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
in the situation you're talking about right now, what would, if you were to instruct her as to what would have been the perfect thing for her to do, what would it have been?
It would have been for her to consider her health needs, to consider her own needs, and to not put what she thinks are the needs of others above her own.
Mm. Okay. So let's imagine you're back in that situation, and there's mother-in-law being a little bit clumsy because she's fumbling over trying to overcome what has been a problem for her by being overly responsible, it sounds like, and overly helpful. So what if you just canceled your need for her to step back and take care of herself in that situation? And what if you just...
Cancel my need for her to take care of herself.
That's what I understood
Okay.
your goal for her was.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
So how about if you just think about being in that situation and let yourself breathe? And there she is, fumbling over herself, trying to be helpful because all the dynamics going on. And if you just cancel your need for her to just take care of her own needs and let her be there, maybe bumbling, what happens? I cancel my need for you, Mom, to just step back and just take care of your own needs. And I welcome you here. And, here we are. We're both bumbling in here. And, isn't it hilarious how we just created this confusion? And I can turn and embrace you in the deepest love in me because that's what I'm in touch with instead of my demands for you to be different.
Yes, I feel a softening. I can see that I'm wanting for her exactly the same thing that she's wanting for us. She's trying to take care of our needs. I'm trying to take care of
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do appreciate that. That is the answer to the question that I wanted. What do I need to do in those moments? And that was the answer that I was looking for. And thank you so much for that. And she ended up coming into our home, falling, doing an army man crawl for 4 hours on the floor because we didn't hear her call us. And
Ouch. That's hard.
she hurt her rib. She hurt her, she's got open wounds on her elbows. I mean, she's, 92 years old. So, so if there's a safety.
Notice what's happening with your breath right now.
I know.
Let yourself feel that. What's underneath that laugh? Is it some sadness?
Yeah, probably all of the above: sadness, fear, grief.
Empathy. And what's happening with your breath?
I'm breathing.
Good. Awesome. So can you imagine her right up there close to you, trying to help and breathe and envelop her in your breath and in your caring?
That's a beautiful thought.
It sounds like maybe, and I might be off here, just a thought, but it sounds like maybe there's some need to control.
Mm-hmm. Go in both directions.
Well, you can't change her goals, but you can model changing yours by canceling your need to be in control. And just embrace her stepping in, even if it's a little clumsy, even if it makes the job a little longer, even if it makes it a little messier. Isn't the overriding ability to be the presence of love and embrace her in that love more important?
Well, then her safety. I mean, it could have been a lot worse than it was.
Mm.
She's got vertigo. She gets dizzy all the time. She's got high blood pressure. She's got shortness of breath, AFib.
A lot going on.
So in those moments when I recognize in myself that she's subjugating her own needs, because she thinks she's doing good for another, and it ends up horribly for her. I mean, it was a good experience, I think, for all of us, but is there when I can collect my essence and forgive my goal, does a moment arise where
Breathe.
and I think of places in the Course where it talks about give her what she needs. What is it that she needs right now? Does she need that control?
You need that control? Or does she have a need to feel heard and helpful, useful? And is there a way that you can facilitate her having that more safely?
Mm.
It sounds like she wants to reach beyond her capacity. So maybe if there's a need for you to control that, and even if the control is so she's safe, is it still control?
Mm.
Where could you step into the breath, and could you step into a space of love and find a way to facilitate her feeling useful and helpful, and doing it out in the open more safely, like, giving her a role to play, something that she can safely do, where she can really experience herself as being useful and helpful and caring.
I'm taking notes copiously. That's really good, Michael. That's what I needed. Thank you.
And was there ever a time with your power person when you were in the role of your mother-in-law with your power person, where they were trying to control, direct, inhibit your creativity or your desire to be helpful?
Oh yeah. Yeah, control is a big thing. Yeah. Control and abandonment. And dependence.
If I can't control you, I'm out of here type of thing.
Not in those words, but yeah, in that's the energy of it. Yeah.
So remember that when stressed, i.e. the goal for her to be safe, especially after you witnessed her hurt herself, the goal for her to be safe would be probably a big stress for you. Canceling that goal for her to be safe so that you can be more conscious, and perhaps rather than control her, which you may experience as inhibiting her ability to be helpful, that you might, if you can let go of that power person dynamic. And, everywhere that hostility and fear raises its ugly head, behind it is 99.999% of the time is that power person dynamic.
Yeah.
And by canceling the goals related to that, you can come into a whole new creative breath that will give you instructions on how to safely facilitate her having her need to be helpful fulfilled, and you having your need for her to be safe fulfilled, because it's not reacting out of the past. It's like this is a co-creative moment right now. Neither of us are working out of old programs or power person dynamics. We're both conscious creators here. And so out of love and the intelligence of my breath, I can see that what you really need is to really feel needed and helpful. So now I can consciously help to facilitate that, to find a way for you to fulfill that need.
Mm.
And at the same time, I can direct it in a way that you're safe, and that now accomplishes my goal for you to be safe.
Yeah.
But while there are conflicting power person dynamics going on, that creative possibility disappears and it becomes damage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
breathing with you to bring sweetness into that space for her and for yourself, and those old stresses canceled.
I appreciate it. This gives me quite a bit to do worksheets on, and I look forward to it. So thank
Awesome.
you. I'm complete.
All right. Sweet. Thank you. Big stuff, and especially around holidays. It's such a time for family dynamics to be resolved and or just played out generation upon generation. So thank you for opening that space for families on a global scale. I like how Susan F. brings forward the thought of, in resolving an issue like that, that one's uploaded to the cloud, becomes available to every mind, heart, and being on the planet. And ultimately, of course, that's our objective with these tools, is to bring it forward to every mind, heart, and being on the planet. Sweet. Well, does anyone else have a thought to share? We're just 10 or 11 minutes away from completion. And these conversations, for me, feel far more important than my goal of stepping into the On Creating Consciously material. But I'm going to do that. I'll unfold that over, whatever time it takes for us to do that. And I wonder if anybody else has got anything to share. Questions, thoughts? Jeannie, do we have any questions from the app or from emails?
No, I haven't gotten any.
Cool. Breathing with everybody. Such a nice gift to be able to breathe. And we're going to start on Sunday afternoon, right, Jeannie, at 4:00 Eastern Time will be our next facilitated codependence to interdependence session.
That's correct.
Yay. We've completed the Power Person worksheet. So it's cool to get through that before our Christmas intermission. So Sunday at 4:00, mark your calendar. Miss Susan F. will be facilitating the Codependence to Interdependence Communication Practicum. And I'm not even sure how many weeks we've been at that now. It's got to be probably close to 20. So remember that all of the videos, aside from the videos in the course itself, all of the videos are there for that facilitated process. And I don't know how many weeks we took and covered the power person worksheet. This power person piece is so important, and remembering that when a state of hostility or fear takes over, we're in that dissociated mind, and everything that we say out of the dissociated mind, we're not saying about anybody. We may be attaching somebody else's name to it, but we're really not talking about them. We're talking about the content of our own minds.
On Sunday, we will have been in this study for 5 months. We started August the 3rd. I'm not sure how many weeks of that was on the workbook, but we've been 5 months in the study.
So we've done about 40 sessions then. 5 months, 4 weeks a month, 20. We've been doing 2 sessions. So we've done about 40 sessions. That's pretty awesome. So if you hadn't partaken of those, add them to your list.
I'd like to add that from a perspective of like brain rewiring, the consistent coursework for such a duration has significantly rewired my thinking. My reality has shifted in such a profound way that this is amazing what has taken place. I know it's right on time for me, but just really illuminating on how the constant participation accompanied with watching the videos and the coursework has just completely rewired my perception.
Sweet. And I suspect that to a great degree, it has taken you out of perception into breath thinking rather than carbon-based memory thinking. And that's ultimately the objective of the work. Yes, we want to rewire it so that whatever comes into our perceptual mind from carbon-based memory is accurate and true, but then ultimately to free ourselves of everything based in carbon-based memory, unless there has to be a piece of information there we need, and then we turn to it for information. But then living in the live intelligence of a breathing, thinking, speaking human being is our vision for every mind, heart, and being on the planet.
Yeah,
That's when. Go ahead.
So my focus has been what I could relate to as Dr. Joe Dispenza's work.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that his meditations are what he's trying to teach people is to access their own Christ consciousness. But there is the aspect of rewiring that many people focus on. So I would actually love to hear your thoughts around that. I know that your focus mainly is on dropping into our natural state, our own Christed state, and removing anything that is untrue, basically, or collapsing it. So how
Yes.
because my work for like 10 years has been all on coaching people and rewiring their wounding their attachment style, their thinking patterns. So I'm now feeling like this wonder about how does all this work that I've done fit into just being in the Christed state. I don't know that I'm being clear, but I think you
Yeah, I
know
think
what I
I got
mean.
it. I think I got it. Yeah. My take would be that, well, let me give the scriptural metaphor for it, because I think it helps to make sense. And the Yeshua talks about John the Baptist, and he says John the Baptist is the highest of those born of women. And what I hear him saying there is, we're working with repairing the dynamics in carbon-based memory. And here's John. He's a pretty cool guy. I mean, everybody looks up to him. He's brilliant. He's the highest of those working out of the body's mind. And that work is a necessary piece of work in order to get to the next level. And then he points out that John the Baptist is the very bottom rung of the ladder in the ultimate goal, which was referred to as the kingdom, living out of being compared to repairing the non-being self. So if we go into repair of the non-being self, John the Baptist level of mind, carbon-based memory, and we get it all fixed up, it's still rearranging the deck chairs in the Titanic, because it is zip. I mean, it's awesome if that's as high as somebody's ever going to go. It's like he hit the pinnacle. But then recognizing that in terms of living truly out of what we're designed of and designed for, the best compliment we could give him was that he was the raving maniac in the desert, that he was the one who could go into people's unconscious and show them what they were hiding from themselves. And that ultimately, now that one's mind is at the John the Baptist level, where the repair work has been done from the generational past, now we start to bring in the real goods. Now we make room for the created essence that we are, the created essence of breath that we are, to enter in and bring in, and who knows what it looks like because it hasn't happened yet, what human life is really for. Like, I think that if we could imagine a point where tomorrow 7.5 billion people wake up physiologically experiencing themselves and their lives as the presence of love, looking around at each other and realizing each other as the active presence of love, then we're prepared for, okay, now what's human life really for? But we haven't touched that yet, because we haven't got the base together yet. Does that fit with what you're looking for?
Yes, I think I'm going to re-listen to it once it's posted, because I'm not exactly sure, and I might have to get clearer on my question as well.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well, we'll look forward to it. All right.
And Terry
Well,
Bowen,
thank you, everybody.
you're at the end. Happy New Year, Terry.
Oh, hey, Terry. I didn't even see you. We're down at the bottom of the list. I see you now. Welcome. I hope you're getting ready for the best year yet of your eternal life, my friend.
That's what I'm promoting.
Hey, joining you in it.
All right.
Absolutely. We just had a fun New Year's session and extending the presence of being in your direction.
Thank
And we've
you.
already decided that everybody is going to create the best year yet of our eternal lives. So inviting you in to join the process.
Best year ever.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have